Howdy friendos, and welcome to our look into a villain of the Legend of Zelda series. Well, kind of. If you haven't checked them out yet, be sure to check out the other videos we've covered on Legend of Zelda. We've at least done Link and Zelda so far, and for this particular Zelda month, I'm actually recording a bunch of these like way in advance, so I don't know which other ones that we've got released so far, but I can tell you by the time Zelda month's over, we will also be dropping Midna, Skull Kid, and Ganondorf. So be sure to do the subscribes and do all those call to actions that I hate asking you to do, but has been proven in my analytics to benefit the channel. Please do that. Anyway, it's time to cover one of the best villains of the Legend of Zelda series, and that is Skull Kid from Ocarina of Time and then made famous in Majora's Mask. And again, calling him a villain is a little tricky, because when he was first introduced in Ocarina of Time, Link is introduced to multiple Skull Children roaming the Lost Forest. And while the Kokiri were able to navigate the forest peacefully, Skull Kids are actually Hylian children who get lost in the forest and then transform into Skull Kids. One particular Skull Kid may have been transformed outside of the Lost Forest and has been ostracized by his kind, and his backstory is a little tenuous, but he is an important character and I do want to cover him. Also, you may not know this, but on our channel, that little nifty alignment wheel that we use for everything has a little bit of a burying the lead here, but if you reveal the chaotic evil, you can see that Skull Kid and the Majora's Mask are quite there. However, we'll see if that's actually accurate, because I've replaced the wheel before, and if this isn't correct, then, well, we'll see what we have to do. Now, we'll talk about the mask more and the ding-dings, but I highly recommend staying to the end of the video. While I don't normally like to go into fan theories, there are some hints at what actually happens to Skull Kid, but you'll see it as we go through the video. Also, I know several of you are going to point out that I don't normally count mind-controlling dings, and I'll try my best to explain the exceptions in the post-analysis, so this is one of the few where I'm going to ask you to please stay for the post-analysis. Anyway, at the start of the series, we're going to begin Skull Kid at True Neutral. I know a lot of you might start him at Chaotic Neutral, but since we only have the basic idea of what he's like after the Giants, I think it's safe to just put him at True Neutral and just go off from there, because he is a kid that just got transformed into a weird creature. So with all out of the way, let's go. However, before we go, did you know that you can watch the next 3 alignment videos ahead of schedule by becoming a channel member, a patron, or a Twitch subscriber? Whichever one is most convenient for you, you could just go ahead and do that. Becoming any of these premium members gives you access to the next 3 alignment videos on your select platform and gives you a spot at the end credits of our alignment videos and gaming videos. Each membership also gives you access to another unique set of benefits. YouTube Premium gives you access to stickers and emojis not available anywhere else, and sometimes a 4th bonus alignment video. Patreon gives you access to monthly wallpapers, lore packets, and access to the uncut archive of our D&D campaigns. And Twitch gives you access to a different set of emote stickers and access to our entire streaming library. If you're especially ambitious and want to collect all 3 Infinity Stones of the Loading Crew, this gives you access to a special title in our Discord. It's mostly bragging rights, but hey, you're better than everyone else. Check any of the links in the description to gain access and help support the channel. Before the events of the Ocarina of Time, Skull Kid is horrified when his friends, the Giants, leave the land. He begins attacking people under the Giants' domain in order to bring them back, only gaining their fury. Skull Kid runs for his life away from what is his first home. Now, I know neutral evil is generally what we'll be going for, but Skull Kid is just kind of lashing out to get the attention of the Giants specifically. We're going to go with just a big fat chaotic neutral for all this. Making a home in the Kokiri Forest, Skull Kid gains a reputation of being self-conscious about his appearance and not fitting in entirely with the others. He does meet a young Link and learn Sierra's song. Neutral. Spotting the same Hylian with a cool mask, Skull Kid asks if he can have it to look tougher. He doesn't pay Link back entirely the full amount, but it's tough to see if this was malicious or not, so let's go with Chaotic Neutral. Getting into a fight with the other lost children, Skull Kid hides out from the rainstorm. There he meets 2 fairies, Tattle and Tail, which is really cute names. The 3 quickly bond and become best friends as they play out in the fields. Neutral good. Spotting the traveling happy mask salesman and seeing a slew of masks, Skull Kid knocks him out and robs him. Finding the toughest looking mask and not realizing the danger he'll bring to the world, Skull Kid puts it on. Neutral evil. Gaining immense powers and the memories from the mask, Skull Kid uses his power to create the land of Termina. Apparently, according to Hyrule Historia. He fills it with people from the joined memories, including several of his former friends, to enact his revenge. Did we know this when we made the Link video? Did we make a mistake? There's a good chance. Neutral evil? In a repeat from his first act, Skull Kid locates every giant. He then seals them deep into the monster-infested temples. For good measure, he shatters the great fairies so that they can't overpower him. Chaotic evil. Bringing the moon down, Skull Kid causes mayhem throughout Termina. This includes transforming a groom into a child, threatening to break an astronomer's instruments, and then tells a group of Gerudo pirates to steal Zora eggs so that they can get a real reward. Is definitely at least a couple dings in the chaotic evil category. Returning to Hyrule for a while, Skull Kid finds a familiar local Hylian on horseback. He then horsejacks the kid, unaware that it's the same boy he befriended a long time ago, and rushes back to Termina. Chaotic evil. Realizing that he's been followed and angry Epona isn't listening, Skull Kid lets Epona go and then curses Link into a nearby dead Deku scrub. He finds it so hilarious that he doesn't even realize that he left Tattle behind. Chaotic evil. For 3 days, Skull Kid watches and mocks Link from atop the clock tower. Some of you might say that this would be a neutral sort of act, but Skull Kid is bringing down the moon with every day, and as such will be considered just chaotic evil, like, once for every day. No matter how many resets occur, Skull Kid will do the same thing. Confronted by a Deku or a Hylian Link, he beats Tattle for talking about the 4 giants and begins calling down the moon to destroy everything. Chaotic evil. When Link calls the 4 giants, Skull Kid begins freaking out. With the giants stopping the moon, Skull Kid is overwhelmed and knocked out. Too bad the mask has other plans. Neutral. So while it's not much of a surprise, the clearly evil Hex mask isn't good aligned. It uses and warps Skull Kid's mind, corrupting him in the hopes of destroying everything. Interestingly, the mask wants Link to be somewhat of a challenge, gifting the boy the dangerous Fierce Deity's mask if he gives up everything. Majora and his incarnations, whether you have the Fierce Deity mask or not, is a Nat 20 fight, and is still weirdly chaotic evil. At the dawn of a new day, Skull Kid wakes up free from Majora's influence. Seeing both the giants, remembering him, and the happy mask salesman, he's unable to look any of them in the eye, befriending Link, Skull Kid, Tattle, and Tail, and returning to Hyrule. Neutral. So, Skull Kid was unique compared to the several dozen other Zelda villains. We've got a big bad that wasn't Ganon, and was also there before Majora's Mask even began. But I think Skull Kid resonated in a way that the others didn't. The Skull Kid wasn't trying to be malicious or evil for the sake of it, at least not at first. And he wasn't trying to revive some great evil, or he wasn't even being manipulated by Ganondorf. Ganondorf actually has a habit of showing up in games even when he's not the villain.
Ganon is always the bad guy, even when he isn't.
Skull Kid is one of the more sympathetic villains because he's lonely. Before the game even started, Skull Kid was friends with the four giants. They then left to guard the domains of the land and left Skull Kid alone. And it wasn't because he did anything bad, he was alone and just lashed out to get attention. A lot of people who deal with kids can tell you that this is common, and in order to get their attention for even something simple, Skull Kid begins trying to find any way he can to see his friends. Kids just do this. And when they do see him, they warn him to leave them alone or else they threaten to kill him. He hides in Hyrule and still has trouble bonding with others because of who he is. He's not only just a kid who is in a messed up situation, he got cursed to be a Skull Kid. Skull Kid tries to be bigger than he is and get away from his problems scot-free and chooses to get a tough-looking mask. It's only because of this that he gets the powers of Majora's Mask and wreaks untold havoc on other people who were his friends at one point. And while I debated going back and forth on this video on the mind control aspect of the mask, I kept it because it's hard to pin down where Majora began and Skull Kid ended. A lot of his attacks were personal, and the more random ones didn't fit with Majora's plot to destroy everything. In the end, Majora's Mask just kind of twisted Skull Kid's desires and just kind of let it go free. It might be unfair to keep Skull Kid himself in the chaotic evil category, but the Majora's Mask, it definitely belongs there. It's an evil ancient god thing that corrupts those who wear it. I think if given enough time and enough chances to redeem himself, Skull Kid will probably fit somewhere comfortably in the neutral to neutral good category. Again, he's going to be forever a kid cursed to this weird eternal life. In many ways, Skull Kid is the best villain for the Child Timeline Link and an excellent foil to him after everything that happened with Ocarina of Time, both having lost their connections and are alone. Yet while Link hopes to find his missing friend Navi through less violent methods, Skull Kid has already gone down the road of violence and ended up much darker as a result. And while we don't know what exactly happened to Skull Kid, there's evidence to suggest that maybe he did see Link again. There's a Skull Kid in Twilight Princess that happens to know Sierra's song, and while he mostly stays in the Lost Woods, these Lost Woods are also right by an artifact that Link would know about, the Master Sword. It's pure speculation, but hey, maybe Skull Kid did get a happily ever after. I don't know. What did you guys think? Are there any other villains from Zelda you like us to cover? When I was recording for the Midna video, Alex actually came downstairs and yelled Giraham at me, so I think maybe I have to do that one now. Also, this is a little bit of a post-analysis thing, but there is a fan-made comic called Tale of Two Rulers, and it's a story about Ganondorf and Zelda having a political marriage, and the same Skull Kid shows up, and it's really cute and really fun. You guys should go read that. Link somewhere, probably a pinned comment, assuming this doesn't have a sponsored video. But thank you to the patrons, and I'll see you all next time.